Hello, and welcome to State Scoop's Priorities Podcast. I'm Sophia Fox-Sowell, a reporter for State Scoop. This week, Pennsylvania Secretary of Aging Jason Kavulich joins us to talk about the agency's Comprehensive Aging Performance Evaluation Tool, or CAPE, a new statewide approach designed to modernize how the state evaluates its 52 area agencies on aging. The tool uses performance data to improve accountability and identify where agencies may need additional support. But first, here are the biggest state IT stories of the week. Pennsylvania launched a new dashboard on Monday designed to make the state's voter registration data easier for the public to access and track ahead of the November election. Using data from Pennsylvania's statewide Uniform Registry of Electors system, known as SURE, the dashboard provides visual representations of voter registration totals and changes. Police in New York State have repeatedly searched data gathered by license plate readers operated by other law enforcement agencies on behalf of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, according to a report published Tuesday by two civil rights groups. The report found that state and local police searched a license plate database organized by the law enforcement technology firm Flock and obscured the reasons for those searches in some cases. In response, Flock CEO Garrett Langley called for a compromise between privacy and safety. Texas Department of Information Resources tapped Amy Kelly, a tech official who has overseen state and city retirement systems in Texas, to serve as the agency's new internal chief information officer, a role that includes leading the agency's artificial intelligence division. Pennsylvania is home to the fifth largest aging population in the country, with more than 3.4 million Pennsylvanians aged 60 and older. In January, the Pennsylvania Department of Aging rolled out the Comprehensive Aging Performance Evaluation Tool, or CAPE, an innovative new tool designed to boost transparency and accountability of the state's Area Agency on Aging network, which provides a host of services to older adults. In April, the department began publicly posting performance results on its website, showing local investigative activities related to suspected elder abuse and helping older adults at home with tasks of daily living. Secretary of Aging Jason Kavulich said CAPE is the first major overhaul and upgrade of the department's monitoring system in decades. So before we get into the new CAPE tool, for those of our listeners who may not be familiar with what a Department of Aging or an area agency on aging does, can you give us a brief overview and explain why they're so important in a state like Pennsylvania?
Certainly. Well, Pennsylvania is the fifth oldest state in the nation. So we are 3.5 million older Pennsylvanians, one in four of us, soon to be one in three of us in a very short period of time. That'll make it about 3.8 million older Pennsylvanians. We are the state unit on aging as established by the Older Americans Act. So what we do is we administer Older Americans Act services and protective services and a number of other services we have in Pennsylvania for older Pennsylvanians to make sure that they get to live in the communities that they want to with supports and services they deserve. So supports like meals and in-home services that help people with their daily living tasks, or hard services like protective services, which helps us intervene when there's abuse, neglect, or exploitation, all come from our area agencies on aging. We have 51 now in Pennsylvania. That's a new development. So there's 51 area agencies on aging. They administer services for older Pennsylvanians through our 67 counties. We support them with resources and regulation and law, and we have an obligation under our law and our rules to monitor them to see how they're performing, how they're serving in their service areas, making sure that the resources we've devoted to making sure older adults can live in their communities with dignity and respect are being offered to them the way that they need to, the way the department feels, and the way the federal government feels that services should be administered in each service area.
Thank you so much for that overview. It sounds like there are obviously millions of Pennsylvanians in your care and rely on your agency and many of the local agencies for support, for services, for meals, for medical support, and just connecting with their community. Talk to me more about the CAPE tool. What was the problem that you were trying to solve, and how did you realize you needed to develop something new?
Well, we have been looking at how we had been monitoring our area agencies on aging and how we're improving performance. And we realized that the problem wasn't with what we were trying to do with rules and regulations. It was how we were looking at their performance. We weren't really really drilling down to the core areas, the areas that needed improvement. We weren't really able to identify trends. We weren't really able to show any kind of consistency in practice that we needed to change or improve. So we decided to move to a new tool. The tool that we had was outdated. The tool that we had was really very much opinion based, did not really rely too heavily on statute and regulation, and it didn't have consistency. So when you look at in the industry, one of the things they look for in quality control is consistency. So first shift does the same as second shift when they're checking for quality. In our system, that wasn't the case. Our legacy system, it depended on who was doing the evaluation. They had there was questions like, do you feel the older adult was left at risk? Or do you feel this was a complete and thorough investigation? And I'm
Mm,
paraphrasing a little bit, but that was the spirit. It was really one person. Same thing with sample size. If they felt that they needed to look at more cases, they pulled more cases. So the lack of consistency and the lack of objectivity really made us, think about how we would reinvent our monitoring system. The other piece to that is we were doing monitoring in silos. We have a caregiver support program. We have an options program that helps us provide services in home to older adults like meals and like personal care, and we have protective services, and we were looking at all of these things and their finances separately. So we decided that we wanted to look at the entire performance of an area agency on aging, give them a snapshot of how they're performing, and also give them a roadmap where they need to do better and where they're doing great, because there is a lot of good work going on, but their resources and their energy should be put on the places that need improvement, because we all can do better, each and every one of us every day. This isn't about getting to perfection. This is about continuous quality improvement of the work we administer in our area agencies on aging, in our service areas all across Pennsylvania.
mm. And I mean, the questions that you were just giving as a sample, they did seem really open-ended and abstract and more subjective than objective. But obviously, when you're looking at something like qualitative control and making sure that all of these agencies and these units are meeting the same type of metrics, how are you applying objectivity to some of these kind of more nuanced questions?
Well, so for those two questions, there's multiple layers now that look at risk mitigation, that look at the completeness and thoroughness of an investigation. There's multiple questions that are asked. And we have built-in inter-rater reliability, meaning that one person's not making the total call. That person goes out with a team, they find what they needed to during the monitoring process, they bring it back, and a group of individuals look at the findings and make a determination as to the level of compliance of the area agency on aging. So there's balance. It's not one person's opinion. It's really a team of individuals, a team of experts coming up with a conclusion as to where they felt the agency did really well, where the agency needs to improve, what are those areas, how do we support them. So
Mm,
built into inter-rater reliability, we also built in a lot of consistency, like sample sizes, and making sure that depending on the size of the area agency on aging, you have a consistent sample sizing so that we're continuously pulling records across the Commonwealth the way they need to be pulled, and looking at data in terms of fairness and consistency that helps give us the results that we need to be able to go back and again see where we need to make improvements. We're not claiming to be a perfect system, but we are saying that we can find a better way to improve the work. We can help our triple A's perform the way they want to, the way they need to, and the way the older adults deserve them to.
mm. When you're talking about performance evaluation and risk mitigation factors, are you using any tools to help flag areas that may need a little bit more assistance or that are facing certain challenges? Do you have any automation tools? Are you incorporating AI or performance analytics?
We use performance analytics. We have not incorporated AI into this process. This process is totally done by our monitoring teams, and brought back and reviewed with their supervisors and the management teams in the Bureau of Quality Assurance and Data Analytics. So we have not incorporated AI yet. It's not saying that we won't use components of AI in the future, but that's not where we're concentrating integrating AI into our work just yet.
Mm. And when did this tool launch?
January 25.
Okay, so it's been over a year since this new performance tool has been in use. What has the impact been? Have you seen any significant differences between the way that these AAAs were previously evaluated and monitored to how they're performing now?
We have. So the old system was a pass fail system. And if you failed, you had to go back and fix your old work and then had to bring it up to compliance. Here, it's a system based on here's where you stumbled, here's where you need to do better. We've built in layers of connectivity with the department. So there's instances where there's mandatory technical assistance, and our technical assistance teams goes out and helps the area agency on aging. There's required meetings. If you cross a certain threshold of performance, there's a leadership conference, something that was never done before, that consistently happens when you cross a threshold where myself and the deputy secretaries and our executive and management team meet with the leadership of the area agency on aging, whether that be the county government or whether that be the nonprofit board of directors. We meet with them and highlight our concerns about the performance of the agency. And we have more robust practice improvement plans, meaning we're planning on what's going to be better tomorrow. We're going to improve the work so that when we come back out again, the corrections are made to the practice has improved, and we're not seeing the same mistakes over and over again. A tragic flaw of the legacy system is we did fix the paperwork part of the practice and made things correct, but we didn't fix the practice and how it was implemented in communities as we move forward. And that was something that we worked through here. This has increased our communication. This has increased our collaboration and our in office presence with the area agencies on aging, which has led to better work, better outcomes, and really a better working relationship that helps us to have a system that is functioning the best it can for older Pennsylvania.
I also imagine that by collecting more accurate and timely data, you're able to share it with other agencies that may be involved in some and providing some of these services to aging Pennsylvanians. Can you talk to me more about the tools that you're using and how it's helping to foster more collaboration?
Well, one, our system's utterly transparent. Our system, if you go on the Pennsylvania Department of Aging website, you can pull up any one of our area agencies on aging and see how they're performing. We put the results online. We make sure that it is as jargon free as possible. We make it really friendly for general public to look at and understand how their agency is performing. But it also, for anyone who's really interested that wants to do a deep dive, there's more information there that you can hover over certain categories and understand the definitions. You can use drop down boxes to really see an expanded explanation as to what we're looking for at. So we have done our very best to make sure every bit of data that we have and can share, that's not personal or private information of the older adults, is on our website so people can see exactly what's being done, what exactly needs to improve, where agencies are striving, where they need that little bit of extra assistance. It's all there, and other metrics that we have that we use to determine, because our process is not just a once every 18 months that we're out there looking at the performance of the previous 12. Ours is a continuous process of quality improvement. So we're always looking each and every month at data that we have at the department to see how our area agencies on aging are performing, whether it be their 20-day determination report, whether it be their face-to-face visit counts. There are data points that we're always looking at to make sure they're performing the best they can, and we're offering them technical assistance, training, and support where we need to.
I wonder too what feedback you've gotten, not just by the people who are using these tools, the caseworkers, but have you gotten any feedback on residents or people that are really interacting directly with the Department of Aging or families that have somebody elderly who's also interacting with them and what difference it's made in their lives?
Older adults, really, protective services is one of our areas where getting older adults to tell their stories the hardest, because it's really it's really personal in a lot of ways. It's sometimes easier to get someone to share their medical history than it is to share that they were financially exploited by somebody, or they were scammed by somebody, or they were abused by their caregiver. So those stories are harder to come by. But we have seen in the data the improvement in the work. We have seen in our working relationship with communities an improvement as to how we're engaging, how we're working with them, because our work, can't happen in a silo. We're a small department. We're 130 people at most. 3.5 million older adults, 51 area agencies on aging. That's not enough. We need our community partners. We need to work with district attorneys' offices and law enforcement officials and the medical community to really make sure that we're doing our best to administer services to older adults. That's why we're also standing up multidisciplinary teams, elder justice multidisciplinary teams in communities, and providing technical assistance so that we can, have these, committees, these community groups working in unison on complex cases and really finding solutions much more quickly. So this is a part of our elder justice practice. This is all part of improving elder justice in Pennsylvania, growing it, supporting it, protecting people's rights, which is something that really is at the heart of what we do, making sure older adults' rights are not trampled on, that they still have the right to make the decision, that they still are not jeopardized because someone thinks that they shouldn't be making decisions for themselves. All of our work is centered around elder justice, improving that, and making sure that the older adult stays at the center of the conversation, their rights are protected, and they get to live how they choose in the communities they want to.
Mm. Well, along those lines, what are some of the success metrics you're hoping to hit over the next few years? Are you hoping to expand the CAPE tool? Is there anything else you hope to see? Any more goals for the next few years now that you have this performance evaluation tool in hand?
Absolutely. That was another flaw in the legacy system is it didn't evolve. It was a system that, just could not grow anymore. So this is something that is continuously changing. We're continuously tweaking it. We're continuously seeking feedback. I've been going to meeting all over the state of Pennsylvania with the area agencies on aging, not directors and supervisors as much as the workers who are doing the work in the field every day to hear their feedback so we can understand what the work is really like out there that we're looking at. It's important for us to hear it from them, what we need to do to support them better, but also how they feel that this evaluation process is working for them. We intend to grow this to cover other parts of our program. We want to look at how other parts of the area agencies on aging are performing. We also want to use a CAPE component to really dive into the finances to make sure that the resources that we have are being used the best they can be, and that we are guiding the area agencies on aging on how to do very practical business things like contracting and making sure that we're setting pricing the best we possibly can. We have limited resources, so we have to be judicious with them all. We're fortunate in Pennsylvania. We're blessed in Pennsylvania because the state lottery supports so much of the work that we do for older Pennsylvanians, but that still doesn't negate our responsibility to use every one of those dollars as responsibly as possible.
Mm. I cover a lot of social benefits programs and child welfare agencies. And I think people forget on the opposite side of the spectrum that older adults can be just as vulnerable to be taken advantage of, whether it's financially, whether it's physically. And so I think everyone, especially listeners, should be paying attention to how older adults and the agencies that serve them are being handled. And it sounds like Pennsylvania is taking a step in the right direction.
Thank you. And it's funny you say that because I spent the first 16 years of my career in child welfare and
Ah.
transitioning to older adult services. There is a huge gap in knowledge and a huge gap in community understanding of what area agencies on aging are, what they do, and how they support every older adult. There's no income limits, for aging services. We help every older adult that needs help. The greatest social and economic need is what we address.
Thank you to Secretary Kavulich for participating in that conversation. You can subscribe to the Priorities Podcast at prioritiespodcast.com and wherever you get your podcast. While you're there, be sure to leave a review or rating on the podcast page. That small extra step helps more people like you find the show. This podcast is a production of Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Our producer, Carlin Fisher, puts it together. Until next week, I'm Sophia Foxowell. Thanks for listening.